Interior, cell block 5, morning. Kathump. The master lock is thrown. The cons emerge from their cells, and the head count begins. Red looks back to see if Andy's in line. He's not. Suddenly, the count stalls. Guard. Man missing on Tier 2, Cell 12. The head bull, Haig, checks his list. Haig. Dufresne, get your ass out here, boy. You're holding up the show. Don't make me come down there now. I'll thump your skull for you. Still no answer. Glaring, Haig stalks down the tier, clipboard in hand. His men fallen behind. Haig. Dufresne, damn it, you're putting me behind. You better be sick or dead in there, I shit you not. They arrive at bars. Their faces go slack, stunned, softly. Haig. Oh my holy God. Reverse angle. Reveals the cell is empty. Everything neat and tidy. Even the bunk is stowed. They wrench the door open and rush in, tossing the cell in a panic, as if Andy might be lurking under the Kleenex or the toothpaste. Camera rockets in on Haig as he spins towards us, bellowing at the top of his lungs. Haig. What the fuck? Interior, Norton's office, morning. Norton is kicking back with the morning paper. He notices how dingy his shoes are. He glances at the shoebox on the desk. He kicks his shoes off, opens the box, and pulls out Andy's old, grimy work shoes. He stares blankly. What the fuck, indeed? An alarm starts blaring throughout the prison. He looks up. Exterior prison day. Norton and Hadley stride across the grounds, alarm blaring. Norton. I want every man on that cell block questioned. Start with that friend of his. Hadley. Who? Interior cell block 5, red cell, day. Red watches as Norton storms up with an entourage of guards. Norton. Him. Red's eyes widen. Guards yank him from his cell. Interior, Andy's cell, day. Norton steps to the center of the room, working himself up into a fine rage. Norton. What do you mean he just wasn't here? Don't say that to me, Haig. Don't say that to me again. Haig. But sir, he wasn't. He isn't. Norton. I can see that, Haig. You think I'm blind? Is that what you're saying? Am I blind, Haig? Haig. No, sir. Norton grabs the clipboard and thrusts it at Hadley. What about you? You blind? Tell me what this is. Hadley. Last night's count. Norton. You see Dufresne's name? I sure do. Right there, see? Dufresne. He was in his cell at lights out. Stands to reason he'd still be here this morning. I want him found. Not tomorrow, not after breakfast. Now. Haig scurries out, gathering men. Norton spins to Red. Norton. Well? Red. Well, what? Norton. I see you two all the time. You're thick as thieves, you are. He must have said something. Red. No, sir, he didn't. Norton spreads his arms, evangelist style, spins slowly around. Norton. Lord, it's a miracle. Man up and vanished like a fart in the wind. Nothing left but some damn rocks on the windowsill and that cupcake on the wall. Let's ask her. Maybe she knows. What say there, Fuzzy Britches? Feel like talking? Guess not. Why should you be any different? Red exchanges looks with the guards. Even they're nervous. Norton scoops a handful of rocks off the sill. He hurls them at the wall, one at a time, shattering them, punctuating his words. Norton, it's a conspiracy. That's what this is. It's one big damn conspiracy. And everyone's in on it, including her. He sends the last rock whizzing right at Raquel. No smash. It takes a moment for this to sink in. All eyes go to her. The rock went through her. There's a small hole in the poster where her navel used to be. You could hear a pin drop. Norton reaches up, sinks his finger into the hole. He keeps pushing, and his entire hand disappears into the wall. Angle from behind poster, as Norton rips the poster from behind our eyes. Stunned faces peer in. Camera pulls slowly back to reveal the long, crumbling tunnel in the wall. Interior, Andy's cell, minutes later. Rory Tremont, a guard barely out of his teens, tries not to look nervous as they lash a rope around his chest. He's getting instructions from 6 different people at once. Red voiceover. They got this skinny kid named Rory Tremont to go in the hole. He wasn't much in the brains department, but he possessed the one most important qualification for the job. They slap a flashlight in his hands. He was willing to go. Interior tunnel, day. Rory squeezes down the tunnel on his belly. Red voiceover. Probably thought he'd win a bronze star or something. Interior, vertical shaft, day. Dark as midnight. Concrete walls rise on both sides. If you imagine them as 2 huge slices of bread, the meat of this particular sandwich is about 3 feet of airspace and a dark tangle of pipes between the cell blocks. Rory appears, shining his flashlight down the shaft. Somewhere, a rat squeaks. Red voiceover. It was his 3rd day on the job. Rory. Warden, there's a space here between the walls, about 3 feet across. Smells pretty damn bad. Norton, off screen. I don't care what it smells like. Hadley. Go on, boy. We got a hold of you. Looking none too happy about it, Rory squeezes from the tunnel and dangles into the shaft. He gets lowered, shining his light smothered by darkness, not having a good time. Rory. Ooh-wee, smells are getting worse. Norton. Never mind, I said, just keep going. Rory. Smells pretty damn bad, Warden. In fact, it smells just like shit. His feet touch the ground, or what he assumed was the ground. It's not. In fact, it's just what it smells like. He sinks in past his ankles. He slips and sits heavily in it. Rory. Oh, God, that's what it is. It's shit. Oh, my God, it's shit. Pull me out before I blow my groceries. Oh, shit, it's shit. Oh, my God. Interior, Andy's cell, day. Red and others listen to violent barfing from below. Red, voiceover. And then came the unmistakable sound of Rory Tremont losing his last few meals. The whole cell block heard it. I mean, it echoed. That's it for Red. He starts laughing. Laughing, hell, he's bellowing laughter. Laughing so hard he has to hold himself. Laughing so hard tears are pouring down his cheeks. The look of rage on Norton's face makes him laugh all the harder. Interior, solitary wing, night. Abrupt silence, low angle on steel door. Red voiceover. I laughed myself right into the solitary. 2-week stretch. Interior solitary night. Red. It's shit, oh my god, it's shit. He starts laughing all over again, fit to split. Red, voiceover. Andy once talked about doing easy time in the hole. Now I knew what he meant. Exterior Shawshank Prison, wide shot day. Virgin landscape, charming rural road. Suddenly, state police cruisers rocket up the road with sirens and lights. Red, voiceover. In 1966, Andy Dufresne escaped from Shawshank Prison. Exterior field, day. Shawshank is half a mile distant. We track along a muddy creek as state troopers and prison guards scour the brush. A trooper fishes a prison uniform out of the creek with a long stick. Red, voiceover. All they found of him was a muddy set of prison clothes, a bar of soap, and an old rock hammer, damn near worn down to the nub. Trooper number 2 pulls the rock hammer from the weeds. Swish pan to a police photographer. His flashbulb glare produces a black and white still photo of the hapless cops posing with Andy's reeking uniform and the worn rock hammer. Push in on the hammer. Red, voiceover. I remember thinking it would take a man 600 years to tunnel through the wall with it. Andy did it in less than 20. Interior Andy's cell, night. Once again, we see Andy using the rock hammer to scratch his name into the cement. Suddenly, a palm-sized chunk of cement pops free and hits the floor. He stares down at it. Interior Andy's cell, night. Andy lies in the dark, studying the chunk of concrete in his hands, considering the possibilities, wrestling with hope. Red, voiceover. Andy loved geology. I imagine it appealed to his meticulous nature. An ice age here, a million years of mountain building there, plates of bedrock grinding against each other over a span of millennia. Interior Andy's cell, night. Andy stands peering at the small hole left by the fallen chunk, carefully runs his fingertip over it. Red, voiceover. Geology is the study of pressure and time. That's all it takes, really. Pressure and time. Interior Andy's cell, night. Rita is now on the wall, hanging down over Andy's back. Red, voiceover. That and a big damn poster. Track in to reveal Andy scraping patiently at the concrete. Red, voiceover. Like I said, in prison, a man will do most anything to keep his mind occupied. He hears footsteps approaching. He smooths the poster down and dives into bed. A guard strolls by a moment later, shining his flashlight into the cell. Exterior prison yard, day. Andy strolls along, whistling softly, hands in both pockets. Tilt down to his pant leg. Concrete grit trickles out. Red, voiceover. It turns out Andy's favorite hobby was toting his wall out into the exercise yard, a handful at a time. Interior, second tier, night. A guard strolls the tier, shining his flashlight into the cells. He pauses at Andy's bars, playing the beam over the sleeping form huddled under the blankets. Reverse angle from inside Andy's cell. We see what the guard doesn't. Instead of Andy's head under the blanket, it's a wadded-up pillow. The flashlight plays across the cell, pinning Marilyn Monroe in a circle of light. Angle from behind poster. The light illuminates her face through the paper, widened to reveal Andy lying in his tunnel, holding his breath. The light clicks off. The footsteps move on. He gets back to work. Red, voiceover. While the rest of us slept, Andy spent years working the night shift. Interior shaft, night. Booming slowly up the shaft. Rats scurry the pipes. Suddenly, a piece of concrete the size of a quarter jumps free and plummets down the shaft as the rock hammer pushes through. The pick withdraws, replaced by Andy's peering eye. A series of dissolves. Takes up through the widening of the hole, first as big as a teacup, then a saucer, then a dinner plate. Red voiceover. Probably took him most of a year just to get his head through. Andy finally gets his head through, scraping his ears. He's got a penlight clenched in his teeth. He peers down into the shaft. At the very bottom, maybe 20 feet down, a big ceramic pipe runs the length of the cell block. Beneath its coat of grime and dust, the word sewer is stenciled. Exterior, loading dock access, night. Angle looking straight down. Below us, Tommy Williams lies face down at Norton's feet. Blood is spreading, fanning out on the pavement. Norton turns, strolls out of frame. Red voiceover. I guess after Tommy was killed, Andy decided he'd been here just about long enough. Interior, Norton's office, night. Again, we see Andy working. Norton pokes his head in. Norton, lickety-split, I want to get home. Andy, just about done, sir. Norton crosses to the wall, safe, and works the dial. His back turned. This time, though, we stay on Andy. He pulls up his sweater, yanks out a large black book and a stack of files, lays them on the desk. He then grabs the real ledger and files, jams them down his pants, and smooths his sweater down. He picks up the bogus stack, crosses to Norton, and shoves everything in. Interior hallway, night. Norton exits his office and strolls off whistling. Push in on the open door. We see Andy at the guard's desk, pulling Norton's dress shoes from their box. Red voiceover. Andy did like he was told, buffed those shoes to a high mirror shine. Interior, Norton's office, minutes later. Andy sorts through Norton's 3 suits. He pauses, checking the gray pinstripe. Nice. Interior, cell block 5, night. The guard buzzes Andy through. Andy walks towards us. Red voiceover. The guard simply didn't notice. Neither did I. I mean, seriously, how often do you really look at a man's shoes? Tilt down as he passes by. Yep, he's wearing Norton's shoes. Interior, Andy's cell, night. The lights go out. Andy places the last chess piece, gazes up at Raquel, smiles, pulls the rope from under his pillow. He stands and unbuttons his prison shirt, revealing Norton's gray pinstripe suit underneath. A flash of lightning floods the cell, throwing wild shadows. Interior, Andy's cell, night. The storm rages. Andy, naked, carefully slips Norton's folded suit into a large industrial Ziploc bag. Next to go in are the shoes, chess pieces, already in a smaller bag, black ledger, and files. Last but not least, a bar of soap wrapped in a towel. Interior tunnel, night. Andy, again wearing prison clothes, inches down the tunnel. Interior shaft, night. Andy squeezes through the hole head first, emerges to the waist. He reaches for the opposite wall, manages to snag a steel conduit with his fingernails. Suddenly, a huge rat darts from his hand. Andy yanks away and almost plummets head first down the shaft. He dangles wildly upside down for a moment, arms windmilling. then gets his hands pressed firmly against the opposite wall. The rat scurries off, pissed. Andy snags the conduit again. He contorts out of the hole and dangles into the shaft. We now see the purpose for the rope. The plastic bag hangs from his ankle with about 2 feet of slack. He kicks his legs across the shaft, gets his feet braced. With his back against one wall and feet against the other, he starts down the shaft, sliding dangerously, using pipes for handholds, flinching as rats dart this way and that, scurrying in the shadows. He drops the last few feet to the bottom. He approaches the ceramic sewer pipe and kneels before it, pulls out the rock hammer and says a quick silent prayer, raises the rock hammer high and swings it down with all his might. Once, twice, third time lucky. An enormous eruption of sewage cascades into the air as if rocket-propelled. The Mount St. Helens of shit. Andy is instantly coated black. He turns away and heaves his guts out. The shit keeps coming. Interior, sewer pipe, night. Andy peers down the hole, playing his pen light around. The inside diameter is no more than 2 feet, tight squeeze. Coated with crud. It seems to go on for miles. No turning back. He wriggles into the pipe and starts crawling, plastic bag dragging behind. Red voiceover. Andy crawled to freedom through 500 yards of shit-smelling foulness I can't even imagine. Or maybe I just don't want to. Exterior field, night. Rain is falling in solid sheets. Shawshank is half a mile distant. Boom down to reveal the creek and push in towards the mouth of the sewer pipe that feeds into it. Red. 500 yards. The length of 5 football fields. Just shy of half a mile. Fingers appear, thrusting through the heavy gauge wire mesh covering the mouth of the pipe. Andy's face looms from the darkness, peering out at freedom. He wrenches the mesh loose, pushes himself out, and plunges headfirst into the creek. He comes up sputtering for breath. The water is waist deep. He wades upstream, ripping his clothes from his body. He gets his shirt off, spins it through the air over his head, flings the shirt away. He raises his arms to the sky, turning slowly, feeling the rain washing him clean. Exultant, triumphant. A flash of lightning arcs from horizon to horizon. Interior, Andy's tunnel, day. Once again, we see stunned faces as camera pulls back. Red. The next morning, right about the time Raquel was spilling her little secret. Interior, Casco Bank of Portland, morning. The door opens. Spit-shine shoes enter. Dolly the shoes to the counter. Red, voiceover. A man nobody ever laid eyes on before strolled into the Casco Bank of Portland. Until that moment, he didn't exist. Except on paper. Female teller. May I help you? Tilt up to Andy, smiling in Norton's gray pinstripe suit. Andy. My name is Peter Stevens. I've come to close out some accounts. Interior, bank, shortly after. The teller is cutting a cashier's check, while the manager carefully examines Mr. Stevens' various IDs. Red, voiceover. He had all the proper ID. Driver's license, birth certificate, social security card. The signature was a spot-on match. Manager. I must say, I'm sorry to be losing your business. I hope you'll enjoy living abroad. Andy. Thank you. I'm sure I will. Teller. Here's your cashier's check, sir. Will there be anything else? Andy. Please, would you add this to your outgoing mail? He hands her a package, stamped and addressed, gives them a pleasant smile, turns and strolls from the bank. Red voiceover. Mr. Stevens visited nearly a dozen banks in the Portland area that morning. All told, he blew town with better than $370,000 of Warden Norton's money, severance pay for 19 years. Interior office, day. A man in shirt sleeves is going through the mail on the desk. He finds Andy's package, rips it open, pulls out the black ledger and files, scans a cover letter. Holy shit. He dashes to his door and yanks it open, revealing the words on the glass. Portland Daily Bugle, Editor-in-Chief. Man. Hell, Dave, get your butts in here. Interior, Shawshank Prison, day. Norton walks slowly towards his office, dazed, the morning paper in his hand. He goes wordlessly past the duty guard into his office, shuts the door, lays the paper on his desk. The headline reads, Corruption and Murder at Shawshank. Below that, the subheadline, DA has ledger, indictments expected. Norton looks up as sirens swell in the distance. Exterior, Shawshank Prison, wide shot, day. For the second time, state police cruisers go rocketing up the road with sirens and lights. Interior, Norton's office, day. Norton opens his safe and pulls out the ledger. It's Andy's Bible. The title page is inscribed by hand. Dear Warden, you were right. Salvation lay within. Norton flips to the center of the book and finds the pages hollowed out in the shape of a rock hammer. Exterior prison, day. Police cruisers everywhere. A media circus. Reporters jostle for position. A colorless district attorney steps forward into close-up, flanked by a contingent of state troopers. DA. Byron Hadley. Angle shifts to reveal Captain Hadley, staring, waiting. DA. You have the right to remain silent. If you give up that right, anything you say will be used against you in court. Troopers move in, cuffing Hadley's hands behind his back. The DA drones on. Flash bulbs pop. Hadley says nothing. His face scrunches up. He begins to cry. Red voiceover. I wasn't there to see it, but I hear Byron Hadley was sobbing like a little girl when they took him away. Hadley sobs all the way to the car. The DA snaps a gaze towards Norton's window, motions his men to follow. Interior, Norton's office, day. Norton is staring out the window as they approach the building. He goes to his desk, opens a drawer. Inside lies a revolver and a box of shells. Red voiceover. Norton had no intention of going that quietly. Interior, prison corridors, day. The DA marches along amidst a phalanx of troopers. Interior, Norton's office, day. Norton sits blankly at his desk. Revolver before him. The doorknob rattles. A voice is heard. Samuel Norton, we have a warrant for your arrest. Open up. The pounding starts. Norton dumps the box of bullets out on his desk. He starts sorting them to see which one he likes. Outside his office, troopers hustle the hapless duty guard to Norton's door as he fumbles nervously with a huge key ring. Duty guard, I'm not sure which one it is. He starts trying keys in the lock, and as the keys go sliding in, one after another, interior, Norton's office, day. So do the bullets. Norton is riveted to the door. For every key, he loads another bullet, methodical and grim. He gets the final bullet in just as the right key slams home. The door bursts open. Men muscle in. Somebody shouts. Troopers dive in all directions as Norton raises his gun and jams it under his chin. His head snaps back as the wall goes red. His swivel chair does a slow half-turn and creaks to a final stop. Troopers rise slowly, gazing in horror. Red voiceover. I like to think the last thing that went through his head, other than that bullet, was to wonder how the hell Andy Dufresne ever got the best of him. Push slowly to the wall to reveal Mrs. Norton's framed sampler, trickling blood and brains. And we get our final Bible lesson for today. Quote, "His judgment cometh, and that right soon." End quote. Exterior, prison yard, day. Mail call. Red hears his name. They pass him a postcard. Red, voiceover. Not long after the warden deprived us of his company, I got a postcard in the mail. It was blank, but the postmark said, McNary, Texas. Interior, library, day. Red sits with an atlas, tracing his finger down the page. Red, voiceover. McNary, right on the border. That's where Andy crossed. Shuts the book. When I picture him heading south in his own car with the top down, it makes me laugh all over again. Exterior, Mexico, highway, day. A red convertible rips along with Andy at the wheel, cigar jetting from his grin, warm wind fluttering his tie. Red, voiceover. Andy Dufresne, who crawled through a river of shit and came out clean on the other side. Andy Dufresne, headed for the Pacific. Interior, mess hall, day. Haywood is regaling the table with some anecdote about Andy. Red, voiceover. Those of us who knew him best talk about him often. I swear the stuff he pulled, it always makes us laugh. A wild burst of laughter. Push in on Red, feeling melancholy. Red, voiceover. Sometimes it makes me sad, though, Andy being gone. I have to remind myself that some birds aren't meant to be caged, that's all. Their feathers are just too bright. Exterior, fields, late day. Convicts hoe the fields. Guards patrol on horseback. Red, voiceover. And when they fly away, the part of you that knows it was a sin to lock them up does rejoice. But still, the place you live is that much more drab and empty that they're gone. A distant rumble of thunder. Red pauses, gazes off. Storm clouds coming in, backlit by the sun. A light drizzle begins. Red, voiceover. I guess I just miss my friend. Interior, prison cell, night. Red is sleeping. He wakes with a start. Red, voiceover. But there are times I curse him for the dreams he left behind. He senses a presence, looks over his shoulder. There's a Rita Hayworth poster on his wall. He gets out of bed. Rita just keeps smiling, inscrutable. As Red watches, a brilliant round glow builds behind the poster, shining from the tunnel. The poster rips free, charred to ash in the blink of an eye, as a shaft of holy white light stabs into the cell. Sunlight. Red staggers back against the glare. A whirlwind kicks up, whipping everything into the air. The hole in the wall is like a giant vacuum cleaner. Papers, book, toiletries, bedding. If it ain't nailed down, it gets sucked down the hole toward the light. Red fights it, but the suction drags him closer and closer. Red's POV. And camera rockets into the hole, getting sucked down an endless tunnel at impossible speed, the roar of air mixing with his drawn-out scream, closer and closer to the light, and erupting out the other side into total silence and a beautiful white beach. The Pacific Ocean before us, enormous, mind-blowing, beautiful beyond description. All we hear now are the gentle sound of waves. Red voiceover. Dreams where I'm lost in a warm place with no memory. A lone figure stands at water's edge. Camera keeps moving, coming up behind him and tracking around to reveal Red. Red voiceover. An ocean so big it strikes me dumb. Waves so quiet they strike me deaf. Sunshine so bright it strikes me blind. It is a place that is blue beyond reason, bluer than can possibly exist, bluer than my mind can possibly grasp. Aerial shot. Nothing for 1,000,000 miles but beach, sky, and water. Red is a tiny speck at water's edge, just another grain of sand. Red voiceover. I am terrified. There is no way home. Interior, red cell, night. Red wakes from the nightmares. He gets out of bed, moves to the barred window of his cell, peers up at the stars. Red voiceover. Andy, I know you're in that place. Look at the stars for me just after sunset. Touch the sand, wade in the water, and feel free. Fade to black. An iron barred door slides open with an enormous clang. A stark room beyond. Camera pushes through. 6 men and 1 woman sit at a long table. An empty chair faces them. We are again in interior, Shawshank hearings room, day. Red enters, sits, 20 years older than when we first saw him. Man number 1. Your file says you've served 40 years of a life sentence. You feel you've been rehabilitated? Red doesn't answer, just stares off. Seconds tick by. The parole board exchanges glances. Somebody clears his throat. Man number 1. Shall I repeat the question? Red. I heard you. Rehabilitated. Let's see now. You know, come to think of it, I have no idea what that means. Man number 2. Well, it means you're ready to rejoin society as Red. I know what you think it means. Me, I think it's a made-up word. A politician's word. A word so young fellas like you can wear a suit and tie and have a job. What do you really want to know? Am I sorry for what I did? Man number 2. Well, are you? Red. Not a day goes by I don't feel regret. And not because I'm in here, or because you think I should. I look back on myself, the way I was. Stupid kid who did that terrible crime. Wish I could talk sense to him. Tell him how things are. But I can't. That kid's long gone. This old man is all that's left. And I have to live with that. Rehabilitated? That's a bullshit word. So you just go ahead and stamp that form there, Sonny. Stop wasting my damn time. Truth is, I don't give a shit. The parole board just stares. Red sits, drumming his fingers. Close up, parole form. A big rubber stamp slams down and lifts away to reveal the word approved in red ink. Exterior, Shawshank Prison, day. 2 short siren blasts herald the opening of the main gate. It swings hugely open, revealing Red standing in his cheap suit, carrying a cheap bag, wearing a cheap hat. He walks out, still looking stunned. Interior, bus, day. Red rides the bus, clutching the seat before him, gripped by terror of speed and motion. Exterior, Brewster Hotel, late afternoon. Red arrives at the Brewster, 3 stories high, and even less to look at than it used to be. Interior, Brewster, late day. A black woman leads Red up the stairs toward the top floor. Interior, Red's room, late day. Small, old, dingy. An arched window with a view of Congress Street. Traffic noise floats up. Red enters and pauses, staring up at the ceiling beam. Carved into the wood are the words, "Brooks Hatlin was here." Interior, Foodway, Market, day. Loud, jangling with people and noise. We find Red bagging groceries. Registers are humming. Kids are shrieking. Red calls to the store manager. Red, "Sir? Restroom break, sir?" Manager motions him over. "You don't need to ask me every time you gotta take a piss. Just go, understand?" Interior, Employee restroom, day. Red steps to the urinal, stares at himself in the wall mirror. Red, voiceover. 30 years I've been asking permission to piss. I can't squeeze a drop without say-so. A strange East Indian guitar whine begins. The Beatles, George Harrison's "Within You, Without You." Exterior street, day. Which carries through as Red walks. People and traffic. He keeps looking at the women, an alien species. Red, voiceover. Women, too. That's the other thing. I forgot they were half the human race. There's women everywhere, every shape and size. I find myself semi-hard most of the time, cursing myself for a dirty old man. 2 young women stroll by in cutoffs and t-shirts. Red, voiceover. Not a brassiere to be seen. Nipples poking at the world. Jesus, please us. Back in my day, a woman out in public like that would have been arrested and given a sanity hearing. Exterior, park, dusk. Red finds the park filled with hippies, hanging out, happening. Here's the source of the music, a radio. A hippie girl gyrates to the Beatles, stoned, in her own world. Red, voiceover. They're calling this the summer of love. Summer of loonies, you ask me. Interior, parole office, day. Red sits across from his parole officer. The PO is filling out his report. PO. You staying out of the bars, Red? Red. Yes, sir, that I am. PO. How you doing otherwise? Adjusting okay? Red. Things got different out here. PO. Tell me about it. Young punks protesting the war. You imagine? Even my own kid ought to bust his fucking skull. Red. Guess the world moved on. Interior, Foodway, day. Bagging groceries. Children underfoot. One points a toy gun at Red, pumping the trigger. Red focuses on the gun, listening to it clickety-clack, sparky wheel grinding. The kids get swept off by Mom. Red starts bagging the next customer. Slow push in on Red, surrounded by motion and noise, feeling like the eye of a hurricane. People everywhere, whipping around him like a gale. Strange, loud, dizzying. It gets distorted and weird, slow and thick, pressing in on him from all sides. The noise level intensifies. The hollering of children deepens and dissonance into low, eerie howls. He's in the grip of a major anxiety attack. Tries to shake himself out of it. Can't. Fumbles the final items into the bag. Walks away, trying not to panic. Trying not to run. He makes his way through the store, blinking sweat. He bumps into a lady's cart, mumbles an apology, keeps going, breaks into a trot, down the aisle, cut to the left, through the door into the back rooms, faster and faster, running now, slamming through a door marked employees only into interior, employee restroom, day, where he slams the door and leans heavily against it, shutting everything out, breathing heavily, alone now. He goes to the sink, splashes his face, tries to calm down. He can still hear them out there. They won't go away. He glances around the restroom, small, not small enough. He enters a stall, locks the door, puts the toilet lid down, and sits on the john. Better. He can actually reach out and touch the walls now. They're close, safe, almost small enough. He draws his feet up so he can't be seen if anybody walks in. He'll just sit here for a while until he calms down. Exterior street, dusk. Red is walking home. Red, voiceover. There's a harsh truth to face. No way I'm going to make it on the outside. He pauses at a pawn shop window, an array of handguns. Red, voiceover. All I do anymore is think of ways to break my parole. The shopkeeper appears at the glass, locking the door and flipping the sign, closed. Interior, Red's room, night. Red lies smoking in bed, unable to sleep. Red, voiceover. Terrible thing to live in fear. Brooks Hatlin knew it all too well. All I want is to be back where things make sense, where I won't have to be afraid all the time. He glances up at the ceiling beam. Brooks Hatlin was here. Red, voiceover. Only one thing stops me. A promise I made to Andy. Exterior, country road, morning. A pickup truck rattles up the road, trailing dust, and pulls to a stop. Red hops off the back, waves his thanks. The truck drives on. Red starts walking. Pan to a roadside sign. Buxton. Exterior, Maine, countryside, day. High white clouds and a blazing blue sky. The trees, fiery with autumn color. Red walks the fields and back roads, cheap compass in hand, looking for a certain hayfield. Exterior, countryside, day. Walking, searching, the day turning late. Red finds himself staring at a distant field. There's a long rock wall, like something out of a Robert Frost poem. Big oak tree. Red checks his compass. North end. He crosses a dirt road into the field. Exterior, hayfield, day. Red walks the long rock wall, nearing the tree. A squirrel scolds him from a low branch, scurries up higher. Red studies the base of the wall. Nothing unusual here, just a bunch of rocks set in stone. He sighs. Fool's errand. Turns to go. Something catches his eye. He walks back, squats, peering closer, wets a fingertip and rubs a stone. A layer of dust comes off. Volcanic glass, gleaming black. He tries to get the rock out, anticipation growing. It won't come, it's too smooth. He pulls a pocket knife and levers the rock out. It tumbles at his feet, leaving a ragged hole. Red leans down and solves the mystery at last, staring at the object buried under the rock, stunned. It's an envelope wrapped in plastic. Written on it is a single word, red. Red pulls the envelope out and rises. He just stares at it for a while, almost afraid to open it, but open it he does. Inside is a smaller envelope and a letter. Red begins to read. Andy, voiceover. Dear Red, if you're reading this, you've gotten out. And if you've come this far, maybe you're willing to come a little further. You remember the name of the town, don't you? I could use a good man to help me get my project off wheels. I'll keep an eye out for you and the chessboard ready. Remember, Red, hope is a good thing, maybe the best of things, and no good thing ever dies. I will be hoping that this letter finds you and finds you well. Your friend, Andy. By now, tears are spilling silently down Red's cheeks. He opens the letter. He opens the other envelope and fans out a stack of new $50 bills, 20 of them, $1,000. Interior, Red's room, day. Red is dressed in his suit. He finishes knotting his tie, puts his hat on. His bag is by the door. He takes one last look around. Only one thing left to do. He pulls a wooden chair to the center of the room and gazes up at the ceiling beam. Red, voiceover. Get busy living or get busy dying. That is goddamn right. He steps up on the chair. It wobbles under his weight. Interior, Brewster, Red's door, day. The door opens. Red exits with his bag and heads down the stairs, leaving the door open. Camera pushes through, booming up to the ceiling beam, which reads, Brooks Hatlin was here. A new message has been carved alongside the old. So was Red. Interior, Greyhound bus station, day. Tracking shot reveals a long line of people at the counter. Red, voiceover. For the second time in my life, I am guilty of committing a crime. Camera brings us to Red, next in line, bag by his feet. Red, voiceover. Parole violation. I doubt they'll toss up any roadblocks for that. Not for an old crook like me. Red steps up. McNairy, Texas. Exterior, traveling shot, day. A gorgeous New England landscape whizzes by. Fields and trees a blur of motion. Angle shifts to reveal a Greyhound Cine Cruiser barreling up the road, pulling abreast of us. Camera travels from window to window, passing faces. We finally come to Red, gazing out at the passing landscape. Red, voiceover. I find I am so excited I can barely sit still or hold a thought in my head. I think it is the excitement only a free man can feel. A free man at the start of a long journey, whose conclusion is uncertain. The bus roars past camera, dwindling to a mere speck on the horizon. Red, voiceover. I hope I can make it across the border. I hope to see my friend and shake his hand. I hope the Pacific is as blue as it has been in my dreams. I hope. Exterior, beach, wide panoramic shot, day. A distant boat lies on its side in the sand, like an old wreck that's been left to rot in the sun. There's someone out there. Closer on boat. A man is meticulously stripping the old paint and varnish by hand, face hidden with goggles and handkerchief mask. Red appears, background. A distant figure walking out across the sand, wearing his cheap suit and carrying his cheap bag. The man on the boat pauses, turns slowly around. Red arrives with a smile as wide as the horizon. The other man raises the goggles and puts down his mask. Andy, of course. Andy. You look like a man who knows how to get things. Red. I'm known to locate certain things from time to time. Red shrugs off his jacket and picks up a sander. Together, they start sanding the hull as we fade out. The end. Thank you all so much for listening to another episode of Quiet the Elk. I really hope you enjoyed this. I know The Shawshank Redemption is one of my favorite movies, just with such a beautiful message. and I thought it'd be fun to try and replicate some of Morgan Freeman's iconic voiceover with his deep baritone voice. I'm not nearly as good as him, but I still hope you could enjoy this and enjoy the sound of my voice. I hope it brought you rest and peace. Rest in your busy day. So thank you again so much, and I will see you all in the next episode.